Hi, my name is Divya. I'm an undergraduate here at UC Berkeley, and I work with the Suitcase Clinic. So we're a student-run organization, and we work with the homeless population here in Berkeley and the area. I work specifically at Youth Clinic, and we just provide services, both student-run and professional-run, for our clients. Some of the things we offer are like foot washing, community resources that are outside of the community, housing and employment. We also have professionals that come in, like doctors, massage therapists, acupuncturists, and we just try to provide a space that's open and respectful for our clients.
My name is Jada. I'm representing Youth Spirit Artworks. We're located in South Berkeley. We're a nonprofit that sort of specializes in empowerment of low-income and at-risk youth, specifically homeless youth, as well through art. So we work with these youth. We do make a lot of art each day. We go into the studio. There's usually each person who enrolls gets a schedule of 3 days a week: Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. And 2 of those days would just be simply doing art that you can make profit off of by selling, which you also get the skills of learning how to sell art, learning how to be sort of an entrepreneur yourself, because you made this, you're selling this, job training skills for a successful future as well. And also sort of trainings on Friday. We've done some with Gabriel and Natasha with like spoken word and all sorts of stuff. So it's really that's the YSA in a nutshell.
I'm Natalie, and I'm with YAY, which stands for Youth Engagement, Advocacy, and Housing. We're an emergency shelter, which basically means that you can just come in. You don't need a referral, but anyone who shows up at the right time, and as long as we have beds, they're okay to stay. We've been in operation since 2002. This grew out of the chaplaincy to the homeless, which was an organization that started in the late 80s, where all the churches in Berkeley got together and hired one chaplain, who actually is the person who started Youth Spirit Artworks, Sally Hyman, the second chaplain, I think. And under Sally Hyman, I came in as a volunteer for the chaplaincy to the homeless, and we started a youth program for the kids on Telegraph. And at first it was just 3 hours in the afternoon, 2 days a week. And after a while we were serving 2 meals a day, 5 days a week. And then this went on through the late 90s. And 2002 I was getting so frustrated because the kids were coming in sick all the time. And they were out in the rain, sleeping under the underpasses, and it was pretty dreadful. And 3 other women and myself, we got together and we started the shelter. And the first year we operated about, I don't know, 3 weeks, maybe 4 weeks. And the second year we did 6 weeks, and the third year we did 3 months. And we were doing it in alternating churches. Eventually we settled on a Lutheran church at the Cross on University Avenue, where we are now. So we've grown. We have shelter from Thanksgiving through May, and next year we're starting in October, so we'll do 7 months of shelter. Ultimately, we'd love to do year-round shelter. We now have really good staff, and our case management program goes year-round. So we have 2 clinical case managers and 2 interns from UC Berkeley, and so from the social work school. So we have a really good clinical staff now, and we have laundry, and we have showers, a shower, and we can put up 25 kids a night. We do dinner, we do breakfast, and they get opportunities to talk with people who care a great deal about their situation. We'd really like to go year-round, that's our goal, but we don't necessarily want to get really large. It'd be great if another organization came up and started another shelter for street youth. But I think that these organizations, when they get too big, it just creates a lot more bureaucracy and a lot more trouble. We do 25 kids a night. It's just about right because they can form a community over the winter. I'll be glad to answer questions after everybody is presented.
Hi, my name is Gwen, and I'm from Building Opportunities for Self-Sufficiency, better known as BOSS. BOSS is an organization that helps the homeless, those in poverty, and those that are low income. We primarily deal with the homeless. We have shelters, transitional housing, and we help our clients through case management on an individual basis to eventually get permanent housing. So what we work on is we have a three-pronged. We've been around since 1971, and as a response to the closing of a lot of the mental institutions, and we found that they were just putting them out in the streets and people were homeless. But we've changed over since 1971, so we've met the needs and the demands of society. And so what we do now is we have shelters, transitional housing in Berkeley, Oakland, and in Hayward. And what we do is we try to build programs around helping them to self-sufficiency. And how we do that is through housing classes, income, how to increase your income, how to get better health care, and how to, and a huge component of that is social justice, which I'm primarily involved with. And I teach a social justice class on one of their facilities. But the primary focus is to, their mission is to help the homeless and those in poverty and those that are disabled. So, and we have programs for youth, but most of the youth that come with the program are with their families. So they're, I think they're between like no more than 18 years of age. So we have different programs that kind of lend itself to that. So we deal with families, individuals, those who are have lost their jobs, lost their homes, and try to help them to get back on their feet. They don't look for, as youth, don't look for a handout, they look for a handout. So they're trying to better their lives through our programs.
Thanks, Jill. Incredible answers. We just have one, like, two-part question that everybody else can answer, and then if anybody from the audience wants to ask any questions, then feel free to do so at that time. So the two-part question for all of you, again, is some of you had touched on either one a little bit, but what is the greatest need at your organization right now? And what is the role of arts, if any, at your organization? And whoever wants to start, do it.
Well, I can start. Our greatest need in our organization is affordable housing. So we've been working with quite a few organizations in Alameda County and working with some of our political figures as well, creating bills so that people who, you just can't afford housing. And so we're trying to work to build a different dialogue, a different paradigm, so to speak, and to help people, developers especially, to work towards lending themselves, not, and building in some sort of incentives so that they can build some affordable housing. And what they're doing right now is looking at some of the hotels that have been sitting for a while. I was just explaining this to one young lady here. And what they're trying to do is build where they're SRO single housing units, and people can move into those at a percentage. And also what they're doing, I'm noticing that Alameda County is doing, is building new developments with a percentage of it going to a low income and those who are certainly now in shelter, and sort of moving that part of them, and instead of them trying to push them away, so they're trying to make things inclusive as well. We have at one of our shelters and transitional housing places for youth, we have an arts program. But we're trying to develop more on that because we have something happening this summer if anyone's interested. Lapinia, that's here, and we're going to be partnering with them to do a project for our youth during the summer. So that could, I think, right home could kind of lend itself to that as well. So we're really trying to collaborate that because our youth during the summer, they have programs at the place where they're at. But we want to bring some new fresh ideas and get them interested because we do want them to graduate at some point.
Thank you. Whoever the spirit calls first.
Well,
I neglected to mention that our age range is 18 to 25. And one of the unique things about EA is that we welcome pets. So we're the only shelter around that allows the kids to bring their own, whatever they have, rats, cats, dogs, snakes. We've seen them all. In terms of our needs, we have 100 volunteers. A lot of those are UC students and our staff, or people in the community that are somehow connected with the university. If we eventually go year-round, we lose all those people. From June to September, we won't have that group. So that's going to be a real problem for us when we go year-round. But during the year, we can use all the volunteers that we can get. There's opportunities to just be in the shelter from 8 to 10 at night, hang out with the youth, do programs, things that you'd like to do. There's always meals to be cooked. Teams of people from housing units come in and prepare meals for the kids, youth. But there's lots of opportunities for volunteers, and we always welcome them. In terms of arts for youth, we've had occasional arts program. People come in and do programming. We have the difficulty that Natasha mentioned, that there's an instability in the community of homeless youth. So when they come in, they have to meet all kinds of needs. They come in at the door, and what they may need most is something to eat. What they may need is to hang out with their friends. What they may need is a shower. But if there's an art program going on, that maybe isn't a priority. They've been out on the streets all day. Frequently they're exhausted. And they feel slimy, and they want to take care of themselves. So programs in the evening when we're open we haven't gotten good response from them. I've been doing a program with them now for about 6-7 years. I'm a trained photographer, and I set up a studio twice during the season, and youth come in and get portraits taken. And that has really taken off. So they really look forward to it, and sometimes, they'll say, when are you coming? I want to get my hair done. They're in the shower, and they do all kinds of things. I mean, the photographs are really interesting. I brought 2 books of photographs, which I'll have up here. If we have a break, you can kind of look through some of them. I've probably photographed close to 200 youth. We see about 100 to 150 youth every season. So we can only house 25 of them, but there's a lot of kids come through, pass through, and usually we get a community, sort of a cadre of kids, about maybe 16, 18 kids that will form a kind of families within the shelter, and that's happened very much this year. So that's not all the arts programming we have.
I tell people to forget about snapping too. So, this goes beyond poetry in Berkeley, I think. Lots of people get on snapping. In the spoken word context, for anybody who might not know, snapping is a way you can show approval or show love or affirmation to someone while they're talking or right after they've spoken, as a way of not interrupting them, but letting them know, like, I see you, I hear you, I like what you're saying.
Thank you.
So I'd have to say one need right now, currently, how I say would be, we are also affordable housing. I think that we're one of many organizations similar to ours that needs affordable housing. Like, obviously, especially in the Bay Area, it's really difficult to come across. And we're like super strong advocates for affordable housing. I personally went a few weeks ago to the Homeless Commission meeting to sort of push that action towards affordable housing. Also, the sort of culture, the community at YSA is really small. Youth Berkeley Arts, that is, YSA is like the acronym or whatever. It's really small, so it changes like frequently and sort of drastically. So like it could be a lot different a few weeks from, like in a few weeks' time than it was, you know, before. So currently, right, like, we need more youth, I think, so we could like easily accept more youth. During the summer, there tends to be like more youth going on. We also get youth through another organization called Youth which is a youth employment organization. So summer, we're pretty much set on youth, but at this point in time, we could, like, if any other organization from who has youth through the ages of 16 to 25 could send their youth to us.
Yeah, I'm just going to echo what was said. We're also, I think the biggest need is affordable housing, and especially affordable housing that's easy to access, just because our population is, like, it turns over very quickly, very transient. By the time we can get them into a place, it's like they're ready to leave. So, yeah, affordable housing is definitely one. And, sorry,
And the other question was just what's the role of arts in your organization, if any?
no, arts plays a big role at Youth Clinic, especially thanks to the help of Gabe and Natasha. We are really big on building community, breaking down barriers between the students and the youth that are on the streets at Berkeley. And one of the ways we try to do that is just through conversation, and we have a big fancy word for it called caseworking, but it's essentially just talking to clients that come in and just trying to form a relationship with them. And sometimes it can feel very inorganic, and the questions we can ask are like, hi, how's it going, what's your name? And it doesn't seem like a natural conversation, but I think through the Right Home Project, and we also have shared discussions, we're able to just provide a more natural environment to get to know each other and to build relationships that are like longer lasting than just a couple of minutes of getting to know someone.
Thanks so much.
Great. So wanted to open it up to the audience in case you all had any questions to ask any of our panelists.
Yeah, maybe like 3 questions. Get there. Sure.
You talked about in the suitcase clinic how you said when you're about ready to hook up some of your population with a place to either, I don't know, call home or temporarily call home when they're ready to leave. Like, how do you prevent them from leaving? Or how do you prevent them from leaving and/or convince them not to leave?
Well, I don't think we try to prevent them from leaving. I think what we try to focus more on is getting them into the housing quicker, so that they can spend as much time as they need in the space. But like oftentimes in the summer, the youth like to travel a lot more, so they're not going to really need the housing here.
Question. Any other questions? Yes.
Okay, I have a question specifically for the LGBT community. Like, how do y'all like help them overcome their issues, or like how do you like what are the main causes why they're homeless?
So can I paraphrase your question?
Yeah.
It sounds like you said, what are the main causes of homelessness for LGBTQ youth?
Yeah.
And what are you doing in particular to serve those youth?
Yeah.
Is that an accurate paraphrase?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Great question.
I can address that question. The first part of the question, I don't want to directly address because I don't feel like I have the proper knowledge to sort of like explain it as if I'm some sort of expert on that specifically, but I know that Youth Spirit Artworks is like it prioritizes community and acceptance in the atmosphere at the studio, and you'll see that no matter whoever is there will be accepted for who they are. It's really focused on being your best self, recognizing who you are, bettering yourself, and accepting yourself, loving yourself and others. The love of community, basically. I don't know if anyone's familiar with that term from MLK. Yeah, so that LGBTQ is definitely a part of that, you know, definitely or any component of one's self, like their sexuality, their interests, their fears, their visions for the future, all those will all be, you know, so.
Anybody else think they want to answer that?
I think she said it perfectly for us as well. We mainly address it, we don't have specific groups for LGBT kids, but a lot of these youth are exploring their sexuality and are really not sure where they fit. And at Yale, there's a tremendous amount of tolerance and acceptance and low barrier, what we call low barrier harm reduction model. I think they feel quite comfortable at Yale, and they don't experience any pushback from anyone. As far as I know, a lot of our staff are LGBT themselves. So it's a pretty comfortable environment. But a lot of the youth that come to us, probably as many as 25% have been rejected by families because of exactly that. So we're very welcome.
I confirm what she said. No, I just do. It says zero tolerance at our facilities, or not just for adult, but for youth as well. So when that comes, and I think you said it, most of the staff, a lot of the staff people from that community. So, yeah, there is just like it's zero tolerance, absolutely across the board.
Like zero tolerance for hate, or?
Just zero tolerance for treating them differently.
Good, okay.
Cool. You just don't. You know what? You just don't do it.
No. Word. I think I can answer really quick for Right Home too. I think that it's something that we don't have a particular faction for queer youth, but I think that we intentionally bring in poetry from queer poets where different sexualities might be the topic of the poem itself, or it might be facilitated through our brainstorms, or we have certain prompts that we can explain more about this later, but are built in a way that try to open discussion and not condemn different perspectives, and let people go into the depth that they're comfortable with. By going in, I mean kind of extracting something that may be emotional or traumatic or something that people might be working through. And I think that healing is a big part of one of our missions with Right Home. And I think that we can talk more about, so much more about that, and not that art is the full healing process, because it's absolutely not, but it's definitely something that can facilitate it in a different way. And I think that marginalized youth in a variety of different ways is our focus. So try to bring in a diversity of material, socially just material, and curb our conversations to always make sure that we're being inclusive and not making anyone feel like they can't speak up. Can we get one more question before we break?
Yes.
Hi. I'm curious about the process you went through to be able to include pets into the shelter.
Well, I think it was a no-brainer. I mean, the youth came with their pets, and it's sometimes, there were periods when we had a lot of pets. We got carriers, got most of them from Urban Ore, and we have had donations of pet food. Pets are very important to youth on the street. They're really important to them, and that's evident once you get to know this population, that their pets are their family. They mean a great deal to them. So we just work to accommodate it. If the animal is small and calm, it can come right in and sleep with them. And if they're in any way a threat to anyone else in the sleeping area, they have to be in one of these containers out underneath the portico.
I meant more in terms of the churches that provide the space for your shelter.
Well,
and convincing them that We wanted to include,
Our first church was St. Mark's, that's where the suitcase clinic is, so they've always been very tolerant of this kind of diversity or whatever. The second church we were in was the Lutheran Church College Chapel up on College, also very accepting. Then at that point, we had the women and a few kids, they had children down at the Lutheran Church of the Cross. They were less interested in having us have pets, they were more resistant. But Pastor Sarah Isaacson, who was the pastor there, she's not there right now, she's gone, she's moved to Tucson, but she is a very dynamic person and charismatic and very devoted to all the marginalized populations in Berkeley. So all the 12-step programs meet in that church. It's an urban center, like that's a really active center. So, however, she convinced her population that they should house our operation, Yay, and gradually she brought them along, a little at a time, and the pets were just part of it. The pets came with Yay. We pay rent, they need the rent. So we have a big chunk of the church, and we share it with all these 12-step programs, which is a little difficult because it conflicts with the shelter hours at times, and we're badly in need of improving that situation. But they've learned to live with us. Let's put it that way. And those who didn't have sort of gone away.
The most small box statement.
Berkeley embraces this. Great, so if you could clap it at one time, please.